Welcome to Watercolor Wednesday. Here we are at the Church of the Palms in Sarasota, Florida. I'm Kathy Futrell, and today we're going to be practicing our sumi brush techniques. That's a Japanese-Chinese way of working with a brush. Welcome. What we're going to do today is basically do some practicing. So we do have just plain I call printer paper just to practice on, but newsprint works as well. Besides the newsprint, we also have this paper, which is a rice paper that is designed for doing watercolor or ink paintings. Now, the idea behind sumi brush, let me just show you from this book called the Sumi, The Art of Japanese Brush Painting. And typically what an artist works with would be an ink block and an ink stick. And that a little drop of water on the block with your ink stick creates the black ink that you need. Now, you can purchase ink. Today, because of the watercolor class that I'm working with, I am going to use my black ink in this, or black paint, just simply use the watercolor paint, and I'm going to create my values as needed. These are also different kinds of brushes that are used, and I am going to be working with this Chinese brush, which is made out of natural hair, and the hair is often, unless your bristles are white, the white would probably be sheep. These bristles are probably deer or badger, and this has a little white mingled in, so I imagine it's several different kinds of animals. The first thing you would need to do with your brush is to remove the sizing with putting water on the brush and making sure you get a nice tapered point with the brush. Often bamboo brushes are bamboo because they've been made with bamboo. I've noticed that a lot of the brushes now made for oriental brush painting are probably more plastic than they are the actual bamboo. And I have these lovely bamboo leaves next to me, and we're going to be doing first a black and white, and then we're going to try some color, so hence using the watercolor set should help us out. Sometimes it's helpful to have a glass dish to do mixing your values. I'm going to be using my tray here. You can, of course, use the paints, and that's my choice. There are several different ways of holding your brush. Often for certain things, for instance, there are lines or strokes that you would make holding the brush straight up and down. Your hand that holds the brush, and you may stand or sit. There are certain ways of working with a brush. For instance, to make the bamboo body, we have to hold the brush at a sideways angle. And we do what is called triple or double loading the brush with paint, which I'll demonstrate and show you how to use. Calligraphy is something that we all use in watercolor painting, and it's when you use the point of your brush to make branches of a tree. At the end of my demo of bamboo, I'm going to do a quick little exercise with tree branches in case you want to practice playing with calligraphy. Okay, so today, let me show you some finished example. Well, these are just exercises with the flow of the brush and what the brush can do using the triple loading of value. Shapes that can be made without or with a line. And often in beautiful oriental brush painting, you are probably familiar with seeing these landscapes done on silk paintings. Often paper or silk are used to do these lovely things. I just want to show you kind of what we want to do with our composition today, and it's right here. There are lots of ways to do the bamboo painting, okay? So this is very free-form. It has a beautiful creative look to it. It's suggesting that there are two stalks here and only one major stalk to create a sense of emphasis, and then the branches are really flowing out here. Here there is a closeness of the way the branches have, or the leaves have been just coming out of the branches, smaller shoots, and they're using, again, three stalks. I find that in most compositions of the bamboo brush, you will find three stalks. It can be done with more or less. So here we go. when I begin, I get my brush wet. I start with taking the black paint and I move the brush into the black paint. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make different values of that black paint. This is going to be a very concentrated black. I'm going to add water. There's no such thing as white in watercolor. We have the white of the paper, and that is the beauty of the black. And as I move this paint with more water, I'm diluting this black paint to make what I call a wash of a gray value. So right now, what I've done by moving the dark up to this point, you can kind of see that this puddle is much thinner. I mean, I could even get even washier, but I think I'm about right here. And I have to keep mixing this. Once I have this flooded in the bristle with a medium paint, I'm going to just, instead of using this, I'm just going to go back into the drier part here so that I get a black on the tip. And this is just double loading my brush. The first load was the wash that was very pale, and then at the end I just poke the tip into the black. I can almost see that it's darker on the end. To make the stalk of the bamboo. Now, if you want to fade like from light to darker, you really do need to, I'm thinking out loud here, I really need to do that first. So you see how dark that is? I'm going to take some of that off. Okay, oh, that's pretty, isn't it? All right, so I'm going to go a little bit less for my first bamboo strokes. And look what happened. I lost a little bit of that. Okay. All right, so this is very pale. And this creates a background piece. Now I'm going to do this medium, but I do need a little more of that point getting dark because I lost a lot of that in this one. I'm going to go across. And this obviously has a second bamboo trunk that is in front. Now I'm going to go with that medium. I've still got to put more dark in here. Here's my medium wash. Just going to take a little bit of that off. It's really dark. Okay, I added water here. Now I'm going to bring this brush to a point and go into my very, very dark. This is going to be the main stalk in front of all of this. And notice that I'm laying the brush down at the bottom of the paper and I'm bringing it up through. I wanted to get a little bit more up here at the top. All right, now I will camouflage where this overlaps because I still have this bit of transparency. Of these three stalks, this one is the furthest away. So it has a sense of being in the background. And I'm going to use that medium wash and hold the brush up and down so that I have a sense of these joints. Then I'm going to make my next one a little darker, and it's really in the background. And then this one, what happens in the very foreground, I bring this straight line across. I'm going to just do the next bit with a very thin line, and that is to alternate the bamboo strokes. And this alternating will help. I'm going to give it a few more shoots because that's kind of what happens. Of course, these are the tips of the bamboo, and we're looking mostly at leaves. Then I'm going to go with the change of strokes coming off of the background. And I just diluted this one so that this would be very gray. And I'm thinking that I will let that one come out from that side and this one come here. So they alternate. The way they grow is that the bamboo joints have shoots that come off. And so if one is over here, the next shoot would be there. Here, there would actually be one coming off of this one. And so this one might be here. All right, so once you have organized the negative spaces, then we're ready for some leaves. And the leaf is painted with the medium values first. I tend to hold the brush pretty straight up and down to start with, and then begin to move it in this direction. So the leaves then have a point. And I'm trying to figure out where my next, this branch then. And the shapes of the leaves, remember, should have a sense of pointed, you sometimes have it a flat, a little round, but it comes to a point. And often, you see this one's coming straight out of the bamboo itself. And sometimes you have some dry brush. I wish I'd gotten a little more dry brush. It happened here, but it's always nice if you get some dry brush. So we'll keep practicing till we get to some of that dry brush. This is a little bit darker. So this would happen with my next shoots. And you can always push some of your leaves. I need to make this a little darker. And each time you add, and you're working with a different value, keep adding your water so that you know you're not getting too heavy. All right, this one is coming from the, oh, that should have been a light one. So you have to follow about which strokes next. This is still a medium, and I made that fairly dark, but I like it. So let's see, I need to go a little lighter because I have this particular branch that's coming from the background. Again, I'm thinking about 3s, and sometimes I'll go with 5. Okay, so here, I just want to make this fill the space and be entertaining, and I'm going to go darker. So now I know that this shoot, oh, I imagine that one should have been dark. Well, I made that one darker by accident. Oh, that's a good thing. Okay, so this one has to have some darks. So I want some darks here. I also wanted to camouflage what was going on here. So I wanted to put some shoots coming off that. And these are more, so this is what we want to achieve with the strokes. I'm trying to lay the brush down and lift. All right, so there is a composition and an idea for you to work with. You know, I think I'm going to do, somewhere, Jim, I have the Sumi paper, oh, right here. Okay, so this is the rice paper, excuse me. This is the paper that has both an absorbent side and a smooth side. I think that I like the absorbent side, but it's really going to get a little runny, and we're going to go with it anyway. And I would recommend after you paint, this one did not leak through so badly, so I'm going to work with the Sumi, the rice paper, and I'm going to be using, you know, I think I'm going to quickly do a black and white, and then I'm going to switch to the color. So without doing a whole lot of pondering, I'm going to just go with some strokes. Ah, there. This is a dry brush. And that happens if you don't put too much water on your brush. And I'm going to do my third one a little bolder. So let me get some more paint here. I'm going to get this one going a little bolder and a little bigger. So I put the black at the end. All right. I still did not have as much transition as, say, when I used the more water. And then, so you play with how much that's going to do. But look what happens in the running process. You get this unique quality that the rice paper will give you. Now, to make these little joints, again, it's holding your brush in a way that suggests the joints of the bamboo. And I added a little dot there, it just needed it. What's fun is to practice these very thin lines. That help to give the quality of, you know, I almost wish I had done this.
Can you, excuse me, can you do the same thing with a regular watercolor brush that's pointed?
I think that you can. I think that you can. But what you don't get is the frayedness when you want to get that dry brush effect. The natural hair is going to be very different from a synthetic hair. So it is that quality of the bamboo brush that makes this do what it does. And it's also that beauty of the accident, the letting go, and that, for instance, when you see these little beautiful hillsides, they're using a wash and then putting a dark into it and letting it just run. This feels very heavy right here, but I like the top part of that. But it's our control that makes us say these things. Like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. But it is what the paper does and what the ink does. So in my brush strokes for my leaves, this is what we practice, is doing the strokes and allowing them to be what they are. And I'm going a little lighter here, a little lighter here. And maybe if you want to have them a little less wet, that didn't really seem to help at all to take the water out because the paper is so absorbent. But I think the scale, the size of what you make can change. And it's just playing with this, making some small pieces for the background and then making larger pieces for this foreground. I'm going to let a few strong strokes happen here. And well, I think I have a sense of balance, so I'm going to stop with that. Again, though, I really do like, it does work better to take that off the bottom. All right, so I'm going to try another piece, and this did absorb and go right through the paper, as you can see on the back. So both sides, you can use either side, and you might want to, maybe I'll try the back side for my color painting. All right, so now I'm going to clean up, and I'm going to do double loading the brush for the trunk and for the leaves, and I'm going to be working with black, brown, and green, just those colors. And I'm going to work again with the bamboo brush. I had an illustration over here. You can see more of the dry brush in practicing. So if you wanted to do color with your watercolor, which is a modification of the True Sumi ink painting, and this is the fun of playing with this technique, using the brown to make your basic wash and then dipping your brush into the point of the black. There. I'm just going to do two this time. And then I'll go with my black as, and this one seems to be more in front than this one, doesn't it? Because even though I painted this one second, I had lost a little bit of the coloration. I'm trying to make some of my branches not all go in the same direction. I don't know how that one works. All right, so now we kind of divide up the space, again, the positive and negative space. I tend to draw on one side and leave the space for the leaves on the other side. This time we're going to take the green and we're going to add a little brown so that the green is not too bright. We want it to be a natural, beautiful green color. As a matter of fact, for your distant green, you could take your yellow. Oh, I have too much black right there. Actually, working with the black, you can see that that is a nice green color. The green, the yellow mixed with black makes, I was going to mix the green with a little bit of this yellow and make my yellow green. And I wanted to make the strokes for my background. This is the background greens. And then my darker green would be with the, oops, too much brown. My green and my brown. You could put a little blue in there if you wanted to. This just simply makes it a darker green. When you're satisfied with the look of the color here, then this is for the strokes for this branch and here. I was a little awkward on that end. All right, so also on this one, so I'm going to mix a little more. And I liked putting the blue in there. And I tend to just make that look like it's on top. Okay? Something tells me I should have finished a little bit more here. And I like putting more leaves than not putting more leaves. Ah, some little baby leaves are nice. How about that? Okay, so you can see that the slick side works a little differently than the more absorbent side, but I'd like for you, once you practice just doing these strokes with the bamboo, and the other thing I want to show you just real quickly, and then we will call this a time to practice strokes, is if you are painting trees. The oriental idea behind a tree is the idea that nature has things that just happened naturally. Nature has its own way of making design, and the idea behind doing brush calligraphy is making your branches get smaller and smaller. And also, I don't like to leave those little floating places, but you can see that using the point of a brush like this allows you to make branches and trees work really well. Continuing to make more and more little branches is what happens, whether it's the bonsai tree or a natural tree in the environment. And it's just a fun way of really playing with your brush. Again, that calligraphy and the dry brush combine to make things have a real natural flow about it. So I want to keep putting leaves on the tree for some reason, but the idea of playing with your point and playing with this brush and seeing what it will do is something I'd like for you to also practice with, okay? Thank you all for giving this a try today. Remember, I am not a professional master of the sumi brush, but I did train as a younger person with someone who taught me how to do these beautiful strokes, and they do feel good when you do them. Enjoy.